Three-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, third most receiving yards, playoff history, and catches. My friend Julian Edelman. He's got his podcast that is crushing. Give your podcast a little love here before, because you've had Bill O'Brien, you've had Gronk. Give me, what's the name?
Games with Names. We got a fun one next week. We got Scott Pioli coming on.
Smart guy.
We're getting a lot of the inside the building talk for the Patriots. That's always been so been under the wraps.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to get these guys on my podcast. Billy O'Brien did a great job, and then he just had he's doing really great with Boston College right now.
Yeah.
And hear the fun that we all had in a place where everyone thinks we didn't have fun.
Right.
So
Games with Names.
Games
All right,
with
let's
names.
start with this. You were at the Jets-Patriots game.
I was.
You came back with a take that you saw something you'd never seen before in New York.
Yeah, I saw hope in the fans' eyes.
Hope.
You know, and rightfully so. Aaron Rodgers looked great, but, you know, I've been in that stadium so much, and I've seen the whole fireman Ed, quiet this, that. We retired him, I think, 3 times. To see him out there and the fans having a great time for a team that looks very competitive, that looks like we imagined they would look a year ago, it was honestly, as a New Englander, it was pretty cool. You know, it was pretty cool to see. I mean, I'm over here jiving with a bunch of the Jersey boys and sitting next to me. And it was just a fun experience to see Aaron Rodgers do the Aaron Rodgers thing, where he kind of always proves people wrong in some form or fashion, does it a little differently his way. And they look sharp, man. I know the Patriots and Tennessee aren't great teams, but what you've seen over the last couple weeks is improvement, and that's all we're looking for at this time of the season. This is a race to who can improve the best week in and week out right now during the football season.
The one number I looked at that I love, they lead the NFL, and usually you need a great O-line to do this, not just a great quarterback. They lead the NFL in third down conversion rate. That means you're getting push, you're getting protection. I don't care how good you are. You know, you got to get help up front. And I will say this, O-lines are very hard, because nobody plays in the preseason, to get right.
It is.
And the O-line, between Aaron now moving a little in the last week and the O-line, it's not solid on the defense, because that's all banged up. When you saw Aaron, he moved pretty well.
I mean, he scrambled out to the left, and I think he got clipped up on the back of his feet on the sideline when he escaped once. And I was sitting there like looking, how's he going to react? And he looked good. And that's something that the whole team sees on Monday or Friday, the next day, when you're going over the whole cut-ups. And that'll give everyone a bit of confidence that this guy took a hit, that our flag carrier of what we are was able to go out and do things that he did. I mean, I was really impressed. He looked good. His arms always look sharp.
Yeah.
But he was moving like inside, outside of the pocket, like kind of the old way that we used to see him do it. So I hope they continue to improve. I hope they continue to use this as a point for their team to learn that, like, hey, we improved from the first week to the second week to the third week.
That's right.
Like, having Aaron at the helm will be able to show them, like, how to handle the wins. So it'll be good to see how they go forward.
So there was a piece of video of Joe Burrow after the game, the loss, walking uniform on to meet with his head coach and the defensive coordinator. It had a TMZ look to it. It would be pretty intense. Like, did Brady ever do that? Did they ever have these reckoning moments?
Yeah, that's a State of the Union right there. That looks like a State of the Union type meeting. And honestly, I think this is great for the team to see. I think this is great for the 53rd guy, the guy that, is on special teams, the guy that's backing up the linebackers. I think this is great for everyone in there to see, because there's a sense of urgency that this is going to push for that team. This kind of stuff happens all the time. Coaches, Bill and Brady, they would meet after games all the time on the plane, have their little meetings. When you're a leader, I mean, those are the two biggest leaders of your organization, is the head coach and the quarterback. So I wouldn't take anything of this, but I would be. I do like it that people saw it, because it's going to make a sense of urgency in that building that they need. If I'm Joe Burrow, I'm saying, hey, coach, I know it's in the past, but we gotta learn how to start faster.
If Tom was going to have one of these with Belichick, did he tell you, or did you hear about it after?
You very rarely knew about it.
So he wasn't grumbling to you?
He wouldn't grumble about it. It's more of two guys at the top just kind of, they're meeting about something that they need to meet about.
Let's have soup and meet in your office.
I don't know if it was anything like that, Colin, but but it was more of, let's probably get some stuff off our chest and recalibrate and let's go.
I love that. So I said it'll be very interesting. I think it's going to be, before the season, I said Justin Fields is more relatable to that locker room than Russ is.
Yeah.
He's young, hadn't gotten paid yet. Outside of a T.J. Watt or a Minkah Fitzpatrick, most NFL locker rooms got three dudes making money. Everybody else is trying to get it or will never get it. Mm-hmm. So Justin's going to relate to him. In Chicago, people really liked him. He's like a nice kid. Russell comes with some Russell stuff. And I said, what happens if Russ gets hurt? Well, he did. And now they're on a winning streak. And if they win this week and they're 4-0, that's going to be a hard locker room to say, we're moving to the next quarterback. So the question becomes, if they keep winning, Justin's going to keep the gig. Is he a franchise guy, or is it a better story than reality?
I think it's a better story than reality. It's way too early to anoint and crown Justin Fields, a guy that before this had, 7-8 wins in his career. I don't care with what team, a franchise quarterback. I think he's got one touchdown and he hasn't thrown a pick. The defense has done a lot of great things.
Yeah, defense is great.
The defense is really great. If he continues to do that, they're finding ways on how to win ball games, but it's not because of him. I have to see him in a gotta-have-it situation throwing the football for me to say, a few times for me to say he's a franchise quarterback. We haven't seen that once yet.
I've said this before. You're a franchise quarterback when you have to throw. Everybody knows you're throwing, and you're good at it.
Exactly. The one outlier to that is probably Lamar. He hasn't necessarily done that to where we think, but he's so electric.
He wins 76% of his games.
He wins 76% of his games. So he's, like Tom said, the eraser. That's what he calls him, the eraser, because he can erase bad football with
line issues.
Yes. So, it'll be one of those things with Justin Fields. It's a great story, but until it's about week 12, week 13, and there's some serious playoff issues and some playoff things.
And they have to lean on you.
They have to lean on you. That's when you can go to say he's a franchise quarterback. Not yet.
So I said this earlier. Mahomes and now Josh Allen lose a star receiver, and statistically, no issues.
Yeah.
I do think Tyreek Hill matters to Tua. I think a Justin Jefferson can change a Sam Darnold. But there is proof that, and it started at the end of your career, with all these 7-on-7 passing camps. The one position in pro football where it's getting furnished every year with 12 great players is wide receiver.
It's true.
And wide receivers are increasingly making more money and demanding more. And I'm for guys getting paid. But Stefon Diggs leaves Buffalo, no impact. Tyreek leaves Kansas City, no impact. I mean, the rookie from Florida State for Buffalo, baller, typical. Go find a guy in college.
Coleman.
I'll say this. Randy Moss was great. You set records. But they won with Welker. They won with you, Deion Branch. How do you view, as a receiver, the importance of receiver relative to the quarterback?
Well, I don't really understand that question, but I'll just tell you about, a situation that I got into early in my career with Tom always wanting to throw to Welker, and when Welker left, kind of recalibrated Tom to throw back to the open receiver. You know, sometimes quarterbacks get so comfortable with the guy, or if they have a big name receiver that there's a weight on them to get them the ball.
Yes.
That's
my point.
That's what Allen had with Diggs for sure. I mean, we saw it on the sideline. We could see it through, you know, their interviews. What this has done, along with for the Buffalo Bills, along with the run game, has recalibrated Josh Allen to throw to the open receiver. You know, it wasn't, you know, when Wes left, Tom had to throw to everyone because he didn't have anyone he was comfortable with. Right. And then we were able to blossom from there and turn our team into what it became. You know, you look at all the stats for all the receivers. Kincaid has a touchdown. Shakir has a few touchdowns. Coleman has a touchdown. Everyone's getting a piece of the pie along with the run game, who's allowing Buffalo to control the game without Josh Allen running the ball. So there's so many things that go into this. I think they're in a better spot mostly because of their run game. Cooks, I've been preaching this for 3 years since I've been on TV, that if Buffalo could just get a run game, it would open up so many other things, and it would simplify the offense for Allen to a point where then you could really use them when you needed them. And that's what we're seeing right now. He's got 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He doesn't have that pressure of throwing to someone. He's having fun. I hope they can sustain this and continue to keep that run game going.
It's really interesting what you're saying. Even if you're a superstar quarterback, there is a weight and a pressure to get it to your star receiver. You feel it. Instead, you said, if you don't have a star but a bunch of really good receivers, whoever's open gets it.
You want to throw to the open guy, because the better everyone does, the better the team's equipped to go on to a playoff run.
Right.
And it's harder for a team to prepare for you. You know, it was like when we used to play those Chiefs teams, I felt like our defense always had a hold on them, because when, you know, they had Tyreek at the time, we would take Tyreek away, and then like it was like we were battling them, we'd win. You know, and then once they got away from that, and then it became Kelsey and other guys, and it calibrated Mahomes to throw to other guys. So I'm a firm believer of that sometimes that weight can be a lot for a guy, especially if a guy's been in a system for a long time.
Remember when Dak inherited Dez? And Dez was loud and verbal. And Dez got into the end zone. Yeah. Jason Garrett loved him. But then he left, and Dak had to truly develop.
Yeah.
And it was like, then you were seeing Dak, it was more run-oriented. And eventually they went out and got Amari Cooper. He needed a guy.
Yeah.
But it did force Dak, because Dak's a mature guy, and sometimes Dez was weighty.
Yeah.
He'd be screaming on the sidelines. Again, I'm not anti-receiver.
And neither am I. I'm not anti-number one.
But I do, I do believe some of the superstar receivers, you inherently feel, I got to get him the ball a lot.
There's definitely a little weight. There's a little something in the stomach if you go the first half and your guy doesn't have a ball. I mean, I was doing it to Tom, and I wasn't one of those guys.
I want to ask you, I said this. When Brady went to Tampa, they had a lot of elements. Star receiver, offensive coach, some dudes, Shaq Barrett. They had dudes, defensive front. They had elements, the foundation. Didn't have the quarterback. So they get Tom, they draft the right tackle, elevate, they get Tom's favorite Gronk run game. I look at the Giants, and I'm like, great defensive front, star, left tackle, offensive coach. Now, they're not going to get Brady like Tampa, but Tampa was viewed as just squirrely and not close. And then they get Tom and Gronk, and you're like, actually, they have all the foundational pieces. I think New York, they need to upgrade the running back room. Coach, left tackle, pass rush, weapon. I think they're a quarterback away.
I wouldn't write the Giants off right now this season. I mean, they've continued to improve. Daniel Jones, he hasn't been lighting it up, but he's been playing effective football. We heard Daboll in his press conference. Like, he's proud of them. They need to tighten up their red area offense. This kind of gives me a little of that same feeling when Coughlin was on the hot seat in 2007. They go win a Super Bowl, and Coughlin was on the hot seat.
Oh, yeah, they were about ready to get rid of him.
2011. They were getting rid of him in 11. and they go and beat us in another Super Bowl. You know, it's one of those things where I know they lost, but there's a lot of great things they can take from this game.
I like a lot of their pieces.
There's a lot of great things you can take. And Daniel Jones, you know, you could say what you want to say about him. I've never been like a Daniel Jones guy, but he's got some mental toughness to be able to go in that building and continually try to work to improve his game with all the outside noise that he has all the time. So I wouldn't just write them off right now in the division that they're playing in right now, because there's so many, like with the Commanders. We don't know what the Commanders are. That was one really good game, and I think that was a great game for them.
I mean, they haven't had a turnover. That stuff's not going to last.
That's not going to last. The Cowboys are where the Cowboys are. We have no clue what they are. They have 3-4 good guys. Defense isn't kind of playing what we thought they would with the same guys and Zimmer at the helm. And then you look at Philadelphia, and it's just one of those things where there's so much noise in all these teams. If the Giants can somehow keep that noise out and continue to just worry about what they have to do, yes, they need a better quarterback. Yes, that would be great for them. But right now they don't. I still think they have an opportunity to compete.
Okay, finally, give me a Patriot story. So you have the summer, you work out.
Yeah.
And there's a preseason, there's one speed. I feel September feels a little bit like 25% preseason, regular season. Now we're going into October. It's getting cold. The leaves are turning orange. When you were in New England, could you sense it's crisp? Bill's barking. We're demanding more. This is about the next 2 weeks. I feel like we move into a more physical football. Everybody's hurt. Mm-hmm. Nobody feels good.
Yep.
Am I wrong? Tell me.
You're 100% right. Right now, the excitement of the start of the season's worn off.
It's over.
There's no fans in the crowd at practice with training camp. It's just 53 guys, a bunch of orange trees, and some cold grass and a sore ankle. That's what you're dealing with right now everywhere. So, this is really about the team that can continue to try to improve and have the mental toughness to ignore, those extra bumps and bruises that you have where you can still go get your lift in and maintain your playing strength. This is about the mental toughness of the teams that can sit there and take the things that they did well and bank that and learn off of the things that they haven't been doing very well and try to get better with that. This is where you start to see separation from good organizations to organizations that are just kind of slopping it around. So this is the crucial part of the season, because now everyone has a good sample size of what you are.
Everybody's got film.
Everyone's got film of who you are and what you are. And you are what you are, as Parcells always said. You are what your record or whatever it is. So right now, it's about that team that can ignore all the outside noise, ignore the bumps and bruises, and continue the grind. This is the grindiest part. Not quite yet. We're not quite there. I would say that's like week 7, 8, 9, because then after that you start getting that hope for the playoff pushes and you start seeing the seedings and stuff. Right now is that time where you have to have your absolute most mental, your most mental toughness of your team to go out there and put out your best product.
Do you miss the grind?
I don't. You know what? I remember I would always look at Ernie Adams, because early in my career, I would house a punt in there was a window from week 7 to 13. And I would always get hot after that, those times. I don't know why, but I remember I'd always see Ernie on the way out to practice say, Ernie, it's week 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what that means? And he goes, there's a lot of data. There's a lot of data out there. I go, what are you talking about? He says, a lot of teams can see what you can do now, so you can prepare off it. And it was just always funny. I don't know where that story was going, but this I do miss that grind. I do miss.
You can't fool anybody. It's harder to fool people as the season progresses.
It's very hard to fool
tough
people.
Guys, finesse guys. There's a big gap. There's
a gap, and this is when you're going to start to see, the good teams become teams. This is where you become a team in this part of the season. Everyone's going to have to deal with some sort of adversity, some sooner than later.
Yeah.
Some may have already done it or may already had something. And this is ultimately where your leaders have to step up and you guys have to have your best work weeks so you can go out and play your best games on Sundays. That's really what it ultimately comes down to. Practice execution becomes game reality.
Games with Names, his podcast, Julian Edelman. Great seeing you as always.
Always.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.